What's going on, guys? Sturke here. You all have been asking for months for me to get a controller settings video, and it's finally here. I held off because I switched to controller about 5 months ago now, and I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. I didn't want to spread any false information or give you guys any wrong ideas. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to customize your settings, as well as show you how I practice every day to improve my aim. I think settings are entirely personal, but you're welcome to copy mine and use that as a starting point, adjust it however you need, and take it from there. First off, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cinch Gaming. So this is the perfect video to show off my new controller. They were kind enough to send this over to me. I got all the upgrades. My buttons and triggers all have mouse click, so I'm not sure if you can hear this here. Nice little mouse click. This makes them faster and more responsive, so I don't have to worry about trigger travel. I don't have to worry about any of that, and that is on all of my buttons. I also got to test drive the new 4-button feature that is for PS5 controllers. So I currently have 2 buttons on each hand. And so I have my use button over here, my slide button over here, weapon swap button here, and I have my jump button right here. You can pick up one of these for yourself and customize it however you want. Tons of different colors and details to pick from. cinchgaming.com. I'm going to provide a link in the description below. You can use Sturke for an extra 5% off on your order. Let's get into the video. All right, one of the important things I need to get out of the way is that I play on advanced look controls, so none of these settings apply to me. I have ALCs enabled. The first thing that I want to tell you guys is that your sensitivity settings are entirely personal. I am going to cover mine. What I'm also going to do is tell you what each thing does so that you can fine tune and know what you're going for. You might like them a little bit differently, but this might give you something to start with. So menu cursor speed is the one that I'm actually asked about surprisingly a lot. And I think it's probably because of my armor swaps, but it's how fast this little cursor moves around menus and death boxes. That's all it does. 3 most important settings of advanced look controls are your dead zone, outer threshold, and response curve. I don't think people put much thought into these, but these are the most impactful settings in your whole thing, in my opinion. Dead zone, we all increase our dead zone. I think logically, you don't want to see a bunch of stick drift. You start increasing your dead zone. What you end up with is a very unresponsive aiming stick.
What did he say?
I used to play on 10%. I thought my aim was pretty good. But when I dropped it to 3%, it was kind of a game changer. It took me a little bit to get used to it. The level of fine controls and adjustment you can make on 3% is absurd. I would not go any higher than 3%. I really wouldn't. I know you're going to probably deal with stick drift, but any higher than that, your joystick starts becoming less responsive. Keep that as low as possible. You want your stick to be responsive. Outer threshold's another important one. This red circle right here basically changes the outer portion of your control. Because my red circle is now most of the, it's 31% exactly away from the edge. What that means is if I go all the way to the edge, I don't get any more speed. My maximum speed is at the red circle. So if I go farther than that, it doesn't make a difference. So what it's basically doing is lowering how far you have to move your thumbstick to get the maximum speed from it, the maximum input. I keep this like 2 to 3%. There's not really a reason for you to go any different than that, because if you want faster thumbsticks, you could just increase your settings. Response curve is what gives you the classic feel, and then as you change it, it changes it. So if I make my thumbstick go all the way to the wall, it doesn't immediately give me maximum input. Starts slow, ramps up. What that means is my aim is going to feel very delayed. Classic, I believe, is 10. For me, I like it at 0. It is a little more difficult to get used to, but what 0 means is as soon as I put any tension on the stick, I immediately get the speed that I put. If I'm cool, calm, and collected, and I carefully adjust and follow a target, it's going to perfectly do that. This, to me, is worth getting used to. It's a higher skill gap, but it is a higher skill ceiling as well. Yaw speed and pitch speed are the first settings that you're going to come into contact with here. My yaw is going to be my left and right, how fast my guy turns left and right, and my pitch is going to be how fast my guy turns up and down. I have them both at 400 currently. I am still going to change them probably and continue to adapt as I get more skilled on controller. Some people, a lot of people, have a different up-down speed. And that's going to mean that when I go at a diagonal, it's not going to perfectly follow that. It's going to lag behind. So for me, I have my pitch and yaw at exactly the same because I want it to do exactly what my thumb is doing. And this is how I accomplish that. Turning extra yaw and extra pitch are the same thing. Anything in the extra, they just get added to the yaw and pitch up here, but only when I completely crank my stick. So if I crank my stick a little bit, it's following my 400 setting, my 400 pitch and yaw. But if I go all the way, it adds in the extra pitch and yaw. So it does 400 plus 220. It does 620 right now. Turning ramp up time and delay, I don't like these for the same reason that I keep my response curve 0. I want my joystick, my thumbstick to do exactly what my thumb is doing. So if I add ramp up time, it kind of creates the similar thing as response curve. Delay means that if I crank it all the way, I crank my thumbstick all the way to the right because I need to turn around really fast, right? The delay is going to be literally a time delay before my extra pitch and yaw kick in. Although these settings are kind of fast, this allows my brain to create muscle memory and time it with the thumbstick responses. I know that if I crank my thumbstick this distance and I hold it for any length of time, I can now hit that target 180 degrees behind me. I can memorize things like this because of that. If I add this, that just adds an extra variable. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. ADS is aiming down sight. So when I hold my aim down sight and I'm aiming at a target, this is when this speed happens. At 140, everything feels consistent. I can control recoil really well. My accuracy stays pretty high. I tried going down the road of making this higher. I got up to like 200 for a brief period, but I realized that my accuracy was struggling. Every time I turned this up, my long range struggled because I needed to move a tiny amount. But because it was so fast, it would move a lot. So it was just very hard for me to do fine controls. The ADS turning extra pitch and yaw, it's the same thing as the regular up here, the non-ADS version. When I give maximum input, that's when it's going to add the extra 30s. But then when I'm back on target and I'm doing small adjustments, it's going to just feel like 140. Target compensation, that's your aim assist. Keep that on. Melee target compensation, this is going to be your punching aim assist. So this is going to help pull you into punching. These are my personal settings. Again, settings are entirely up to you, what you're good with, what feel you're going for. For me, this currently accomplishes what I want. I do still have some things that I want to mix up. I'm probably going to experiment with adding a bunch of extra pitch and yaw to my ADS here. See how that feels. The extra pitch and yaw, I'm fighting a target here. I need to turn quick. That extra pitch and yaw allows me to turn around so fast and acquire a different target. That's why I have high speed. If I played on, say, 3-2 Classic, it was super slow speed. I'd be going bam, 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 bam. Right? If this guy back here is shooting at me, I'm dead before I turn around. I'm dead. That's why people joke that slow sensitivity is your turret. There's a couple things that you want to master on controller. I think as a controller player, you know, you're probably as a standard pretty good in that hip fire up close range because aim assist is so strong. But as you get farther and farther back, it gets weaker. Couple of quick basic tips about controller. Aim assist. Being good on controller is about maximizing aim assist. We know that aim assist kind of looks like slowing sensitivity down. When I get near target, I don't know if you can tell, but my cursor ever so slightly starts to slow down. It's a subtle grab. This is not really a big thing with aim assist. Nobody really argues about this. What everybody hates about aim assist, and the reason that I switched to controller, because this is a huge advantage in my opinion, and you need to learn to do this. Rotational. When I strafe, my aim assist actually pulls slightly. We're aiming down sight. This is just strafing. You see how my guy looks like my aim is slightly adjusting? It's just slightly rotating my aim. As a controller player, should never be standing still shooting a target. Your recoil control is harder. Everything is slightly harder. It's harder for me to stay on the target. It's harder for me to track the target. What you need to get used to doing is moving at all times. The more you move, the more sticky your aim is, the more the aim continues to pull slightly. And you get much stronger feeling aim assist. One of the most important things you can do on controller and aiming in general is target acquisition. There's two types of target acquisition that I think that you should primarily focus on. One is a little easier than the other, and one of them is more impactful than the other, in my opinion. One of the easier target acquisition things that you can do is just track all the targets while you're ADS and shoot at them all. And then try to do that faster and faster and faster and faster. Right? Following the targets, right? And the faster you get at that, the faster you can target acquire while ADS. The other type of target acquisition that I think is huge, that everybody should practice, is ADSing, firing my gun, letting go, and turning and acquiring a new target, and then ADSing and firing my gun. And it is something worth practicing and something I've been putting a little time into recently. And honestly, it's been making me a lot better. It's been making me a lot better. I don't see people practice this, but I definitely think you should. It's hard. It's not like the easiest thing in the world to do. It takes some practice. But this, in my opinion, will show up in your gameplay. The other thing a lot of people ask me about, they ask me a lot about recoil control. The answer is more simple than you might think. More simple than you might think. As I said before, you always want to be moving. Even when you're shooting really long range, you always want to be moving because it activates your rotational aim assist. But really, the number one thing you want to do is go to the firing range every day. Grab 1,000, 2,000 rounds with a gun that you're bad at and go, okay, where am I bad with the car? Okay, I'm bad with the car. Let's say I'm bad with the car at 30 meters. Okay, easy. I'm bad with the car at 30 meters. I'm going to step back 30 meters. I'm just going to strafe and I'm going to shoot it all 1,000 rounds. It's going to take me 5 minutes. This is going to change everything for you. That's it. And I'm going to shoot 1,000 rounds. That's it. When you can do that and that's not your weak thing anymore, man, you know what? Sturke, I think now my hipfire car is really bad. Okay. Grab a friend if you want, or just come into the firing range and just do this. That's it. It seems silly and small, but this is what has made me so good on controller so fast. I do things like this on stream every day. To give you a current event example, I switched to controller when the flatline went into the care package, or into the crafter. So now I suck with the flatline at long range. Not a problem there. Not a problem. But for me, 70 meters, that might be a problem. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go back, and then I'm going to just shoot 1,000 rounds every day. See? I'm not very good with it. I'm not very good with it at long range. It is coming to ground floor loot, and now I need to get good with it so that I don't hurt my team. So this is going to be my warm-up now for the next week until I'm a flatline god with the 3x. And when this feels easy for me, I'm going to go back even farther. You know, I want to be able to do this at 100 meters, 90 meters. That's it. That's it. I promise you, that's it. This is all I do every day. This is why I can beam people with most of the guns, no problems. And this is also why I suck with some guns, because I haven't done this. I haven't done this with those guns. I think it's very important that you use the firing range. I wish the firing range was a little bit better, but be real with yourself. Be real with yourself. If I'm bad with the flatline at long range, I'm not going to grab the flatline. I'm not going to grab the flatline and shoot it here and say, I practiced with it. It doesn't work, Sturke. No. Go to the range you're not good at. Pick up the guns that you're bad with and shoot them in the firing range. You know, darn. Sturke, I suck with the Rampage. Well, have you practiced with it? Because this is easy. Right? That's it. That's it. 1,000 rounds a day, 5 minutes on your worst guns and your worst ranges will make you a more well-rounded player and very, very dangerous. You mix all of these techniques together, and what you have is a demon. You have a demon. I ended season 12 peaking and with a nice little badge for it to show number 165 pred. Season 13, we're going to go and aim for top 50, but number 165, and I got less than 5 months on controller. There's no excuse. I do this every day. So should you. For you guys, for me and everything, you just need to be really transparent with yourself and really honest with yourself. If I have trouble close range, you know, here I'm flicking behind too far, you know, I'm just, oh man, I'm shooting at this guy and I'm panicking. Maybe my sensitivity is too high and I need to lower my sensitivity. I think it's very, very important that we're honest with ourselves. If you are not good in a specific situations, write it down and practice, or change your settings or whatever in order to address that weakness. That's going to be huge for you. If you guys have any other information you'd like to know, things that I can help you guys with, I'd love to hear from you down below in the comments. I do read them all. Thank you guys.